Welcome back to our Stamperia Spring Botanic album. And today we're going to work on our pages. We should be able to get them all done. I've already pre-cut some. We did this one last time. And we're going to get started. And in the interest of saving time, as I said, I've gone ahead and cut some pieces. So for these next two pages, let me set this aside. You're going to need, this one will use a magnet, so you'll need a magnet. You can always use a tie if you prefer, or Velcro. So you need a piece 4.5 by 5.5, and I put magnets so I don't forget, and a piece 5 by 4.5. And then you want to put, with the 5 by 4.5, put the 5-inch side along the top of your scoreboard, score it at a 1/2 inch. And with the 5.5, do the same thing. Put the 5.5 inch side along and then score it at a 1/2 inch. All right. Now, you should be able to get most of these pieces from your scraps. I believe that thus far I have only used one additional piece of cardstock, and that's for a waterfall that we have coming. You can see I made a note of what I'm doing. So check your scraps to see if you've got something suitable. You should. All right. All right, so we've scored it, we folded it, we're going to put it up here, okay? So just do a dry fit, make sure it fits, and it does. And oh, you know what? Hang on. Where's my cutter bee scissors? There they are. I want to go ahead and just trim these corners. The only problem with doing an album like this where we've already put the pages in the book is I think it's a little harder for you to see what I'm doing. This is the top of the book. I just turned it, and I'm just going to line this up with the top edge as best we can. And let's grab our little dry baby wipe. Now we're going to repeat that. This piece is going to go here, right? And then this is going to come down on top of it, like so. Okay. All right. And I'm going to line this up on the bottom. You always want anything, if you have to slide it more to one direction than the other, you want it to be more to the outer edge than the inner, so as to have less interference with your pages, with your spine. Okay, hopefully I can see that. Okay, so that's going to go up like that, that's going to go down, and there's going to be a magnet. All right, and we might as well go ahead and put our magnet. See what I've got in the way of magnets here. I think I mentioned before, I've got a little metal cart just off camera, and I stick my magnets to it, and sometimes they're so strong it's hard to get them off of the cart. Okay, there we go. All right, and let's get some tape. Some more in here. I've got a 1/4 inch tape. There we go. And so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the top first. If at all possible, you want to avoid putting magnets too close to the edge. It makes it difficult to mat. And it makes the bump of the magnet much more obvious. Sorry, I'm trying to get the tape off of the backing off of this tape. And it's being difficult. For heaven's sakes. Okay. Hang on. Getting something sharp. All right. There we go. Should have done that in the first place. Okay. So I want to center it on here, and I want it down a good 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches. Maybe even 2. Because my mat's going to be up here, so if I put this down far enough, I didn't center that very well, did I? But it's okay, it won't matter. Then, take some scraps, whatever you've got lying around. Put them in between. If you don't put something in between these magnets, you'll have a hard time getting them apart. Okay, there's my little tool. Okay, there we go. And we're gonna just take this, close, press, and lift. Oops, numbnuts. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? It would have helped if I had taken my label off. Well, that's all right. Did you hear that chirp? That was my cat. She makes a chirpy noise all the time. Okay, let's try that again and do it right this time. Okay, here we go. Just press and lift, and there's our magnet. And then I like to put a second piece, and I don't ever take the back off of this piece. It's just added security, and it helps when I put the mat on, I feel like the mat slides over the, whoops. Okay, oh, that didn't work, hang on. The mat slides over the magnet easier if I've got some tape over it. There we go. Okay, so there's that. Now our next piece is going to be a pocket that we're going to put at the bottom. So you need to cut a piece, and I've got it written on here if I could read it. You could probably read it easier than I can. 5.5 by 4.5. And you're going to score 2 short sides and 1 long side at 1/2 inch. Okay. Let's move some of these things out of the way. Now we're going to trim the corners of the pocket. This is just a very standard pocket of the type that I use a lot. If you've seen more than a few of my videos, you've probably figured out that most of the time my albums are quite simple. I don't do too many fussy things or difficult things. A beginner could do pretty much all of my albums. My albums pretty much depend on the paper for their look. Although that's not to say I don't enjoy doing, you know, some origami or something occasionally, but don't be afraid to do my albums. You shouldn't have any difficulty. And if you do, of course, reach out to me and I'll do everything I can to help you. But you don't have to rely on complexity for something to look really good. You don't even have to rely on complexity for something to look complex. Paper will do that for you. Okay, so what I've done, I've got the 2 sides in, and I've got the bottom up over the 2 sides. And if you do your pockets like this, it's much easier to get things in them. All right, so just gonna do that. I'm just putting a little dab of glue at the bottom to hold this piece on. And don't worry about glue seeping out because you're about to glue that anyway. You know what, I should have done a dry fit of this pocket, so let me just do that right now, because if it's off, I'd rather fix it. And it looks like it's fine. Okay. All right, so you're gonna put glue on the 3 sides. Looks like that one came up, but that's all right. It'll go back now. All right. And once again, you're gonna line it up with the bottom and the sides. And press it firmly into place. All right. Let's see, now here I'm doing a waterfall. And I have 2 pieces that I haven't measured, but they're from one of the scraps. Let me just give you a measurement on them. These are probably not the final measurements. You should have a 2.5 inch scrap lying around from cutting everything else out. And I cut one piece 6.5, the other piece 5.5. And it's probably not the final measurement, but cut those and set them aside. And then for the waterfall, you're going to need one piece 4 by 6 for your base, and then you're going to need, what have I got here? 6 pieces 4 by 3.5. I'm going to put the 3.5 inch side along the top of your scoreboard and score those all at a 1/2 inch. Then you're going to need for this side a pocket, or excuse me, a flap, and you're going to cut that 6.5 by 3.5. Put the 3.5 inch side along the top of your scoreboard and score one long edge at a 1/2 inch. Okay. Now, I'll set this aside. I have not tested. When I do my waterfalls, I basically guesstimate how I want it to go, make it, and then trim as needed to make it fit. So here's our first piece. And just going to line that up along the top of the base piece. Make sure the 2 edges line up straight. All right, what did I do with my, there it is. Give that a burnish. There we go. Now let me grab one of these, because I haven't folded this one. After you score it and you fold over the edge, burnish it really well. Fold it back the other way and burnish it. And then back the other way and burnish it, because with a waterfall you want your pieces nice and flexible. All right, so let's use this piece. What did I cut? You notice I didn't trim these. It's not necessary with a waterfall. The corners, I mean. Okay, this piece you're going to line up so that the top of it bumps right up against this edge right here. You can see what I'm doing, I think. And again, line up your 2 edges with the edge of the base piece. See where we're going with that? Okay. It's always nice to have a waterfall in an album if you can fit one in. Get so many pictures with it. And we're just going to continue down with the next one. Good. You always want to check after each one to make sure you're straight. It doesn't take much to get way off if get one off, then the next one you line up with that, you're off a little more and a little more. Best to just check as you're going. Make sure that's straight. It looks a little off to me. That's okay. All right, the next one. The last one. That looks good. Now, as you can see, we've got a slightly bit more down here than we do between each of these. So I'll go ahead when it's time to mount this and I will trim that. But I would rather work with a little extra than not enough. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to set this aside. Oh, speaking in English, just tripping over my tongue. Set that aside. So we're not going to use that just yet, because we need to put the mat down before we insert that. But here's our flap that we just cut. Let's go ahead and fold that over. Let's trim this like so. Okay. Then we want to take the shorter of the two pieces that we cut, the two band pieces, put the long edge across the top of your scoreboard and score it at 1/2 of an inch. All right, set that aside. And this is when we're going to determine exactly how long we need that to be. What we're going to do, this is going to be an inner flap, it's going to be here. This is going to sit on top of it, like this, and hold it closed. And we're probably going to put something decorative on here. So I need, looks like I need to take about an inch, let's say an inch off. Okay, so I cut this 5 1/2, so you can cut yours 4 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and take the inch off now. That's going to be nice. And then there'll be a magnet on this and this bottom piece holding it closed. So first, let's go ahead and attach this to this, like so, and then we'll attach the whole assembly. You can measure it if you like. I'm just going to eyeball it. Right. So you want it to be about in the center. Just like that. Firmly on there. Okay, and then that looks pretty good. We're going to glue the outside of this whole assembly. And we're going to attach it inside. Now when you attach this to the inner edge of this piece, do not put it right up against the spine. Leave yourself about 1/16 of an inch so that you do not interfere with the spine itself, okay? You want your pages to move freely. Okay. All right, that looks good. So then this will flip open, this will flip open. There'll be a magnet here and a magnet here. And then our waterfall assembly is going to go here, and the matching band, if I can get my hands on it, will hold the waterfall closed. Okay? So let's see where we're at. We could go ahead and put that magnet on, so we don't forget to do it later, which is something I have a habit of doing. Once again, we will put this one first. I think, wait a minute, that might not work because it's probably going to end up right about there. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and put the base one first. Close that, get an idea of just about where that's going to go. That looks right. Okay. And let's take our scraps. Whoops. There we go. I'm still going to run into the problem of this one being in the way when I attach this magnet. Oh, no, I'm not. What am I thinking? Okay, so close that first and then put that. Never helps to overthink things, people. Okay. And we're going to lift that up and then let's see. Put those there and give them a good press. All right, there we go. And then got some tape there, so. That one, piece of tape on this one, and then because I have some extra tape there, I wonder, I think it'll be fine. Perfect. All right, and then like I said, our waterfall assembly is going here, but we can't put that there yet. We have to put the map for that, which we haven't picked out yet. So set that aside. See, where are we at? We have an accordion pocket going here. So, I like to have a lot of pockets in my albums anyway, but since this album is intended to be, and I don't know how much we've talked about it in the intro, but this album is intended to be a garden journal, so I thought an accordion pocket would be great for seed packets and labels and things like that, things you might want in your garden. So what I have, let me give you measurements, is a piece, and again, this was a scrap, 7.5 by 5.5. 5.5? Yeah, 5.5. And what you're going to do with this, you need to score it on 3 sides like a pocket, but what you need to do is go ahead and put the long side in your scoreboard, score it at 1/2, 1, 1.5. So turn it around, score the other short side at 1/2, 1.5, and 1/2, 1, 1.5, and then score the long side, just one of the long sides, at 1/2, 1, 1.5. Okay? And we're going to make a flat for this too, but I haven't decided on that yet, or I haven't cut it yet. So now, see this little grid here you have in each corner? You just want to cut that out. Just cut right on the score line. Just to the to this spot right here. Okay. Sometimes when I do accordions, I don't accordion the bottom, I just do the sides. But since this one might hold a fair bit of stuff in terms of, like I said, seed packets and whatnot, I went ahead and I'm going to accordion the bottom as well. Okay, so now we have a piece that looks like that. Set the scissors aside. And what I like to do with these is fold them all in the same direction and then make the accordion. So folding everything to the inside, like that, and then like that. Okay, and then you're going to fold the whole thing over, the whole 1.5 inches. Then you're going to fold it back on itself and then in. All right, so you've made like a W shape. Okay. An accordion. Okay. And I'm going to repeat this on the other side. In, and the whole thing in, and out and in. Okay. And then let's repeat that with the bottom. You have to move these, open these up to get them out of the way. Then what's going to happen is these are going to go to the inside. This one is going to go on top, like that. All right? Just like when we do any other pocket. All right. Let me make sure I did that right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Just hang on one second and we will get that glued. We're going to put a belly band there, and this is where our accordion pocket's going to go. So what you want to do is do a dry fit, and the easiest way to do it is just to take this end, and that looks fine. Okay. So now I'm going to take, and if you, I'm looking to see if I have any. I know I have some clothespins, but I'm not sure where they went. You know what? I've got a couple of little bulldog clips. Oh, and there's my clothespins. It looks like I put them in there. This is a good place if you've got some sort of little clips to use them. All right, so go ahead and take your glue and put a good dab there. And you want to close this over the top and clip it. Let that dry for a few minutes, okay? And then I'll be right back. All right, that's probably dry. It doesn't need to be like 100%, but all right. And then we're going to take this whole assembly and we're going to glue it to the bottom of this page, all right? I keep looking at this because I feel like I might have glued it. Like if I should have glued these on top. Every time I make one of these like this, I second guess myself. Hang on, let me just open that up and see. You know, I think it's fine the way it is. Okay. Reglue that. All right. So now we are going to glue and if you do those differently, by all means do it. I hardly ever make them, so like I said, I always second guess myself. And line that up. You know what? I did do that wrong. Oh, okay. Okay, I can get it off. It's not easy to get things that you put down. Okay, I did do that backwards. All right, everybody. So, all right, learn from my mistake. All right, so let me just trim that edge real rough from having been ripped out. It's no big deal. All right, so these go on top of that. All right, so I had them backwards. Here's how we're doing it. We're learning this together. Okay, what I've done is I've left this flap open. I'm gluing these to this. So I've just got the bottom flap of the bottom open. Gluing the side pieces, and now I'm gluing this. All right, that looks much better. I just want to make sure we have a nice finished edge on this thing. All right, definitely better. And let me get my scissors. I'm just going to trim off this little scrap that I have. All right, so we had a bit of an interruption. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue this down. My sister came by and we actually went shopping, so it's several hours later for me. And let's try that again. And, oops, good heavens, this pocket is just determined to give me a hard time. And just want to get that even with this edge. this is the little bone folder that came with my envelope punch board. It's a lot easier to get it down in there and really get this pressed down. Corner is trying to lift up a little bit. I think I'm going to do is just lift that up and put a clip on it. That's just while we do the flap. And all right, let's see. So for the flap, I need a piece that is 4.5. I want to make it. I'm trying to think. I like my flaps on these to come down pretty far. Let's do 4.5 by 5. Okay, so hang on, I'm gonna cut that out. Yeah, I had a piece that was 5.5, so I just went ahead and cut it 4.5 by 5.5. That'll be fine. All right. And then we're gonna go ahead, put the 5.5 across the top of your scoreboard. And score it a 1/2 inch. Right, and let's fold and burnish this. Put that away. And I'm gonna go ahead and trim these corners. Again, make sure you don't go past your score line. That's why I like to fold them first. I find it easier to see the score line that way. All right. And this is going to be lined up with the top, just like that. So it's going to be quite similar to this, but of course this one is going to have the pocket inside. This book is getting fairly bulky. I kind of feel like it might have been easier to do some of these pages while they were flat. That's all right. Okay. Now we need a couple more magnets. Okay. There we go. Thinking that what I want you to do when you make this one, assuming I haven't frightened you off from making it all together, put the top flap on first. No, I guess it'll be all right. So what I was thinking of putting the magnet. Oops. I was thinking of putting the magnet inside the pocket, but that would interfere, I think, too much with whatever I put in the pocket. So I've changed my mind. I'm going to put it on the outside. All right, I'm switching tape because I just ran out of tape on that roll. see. Hopefully you can. Right. Right. Yeah, that's going to be fine. So, I mean, these are some little tags I was working on for another project. So you can see it. All right, so I just put some scrap paper in between my two magnets. And put some tape there. And there we go. That. Okay, I think I can probably take that off. And then we're going to put a belly band here. And I think it's going to be a horizontal belly band, but I'm not sure. Got a lot of horizontal lines going on in this book, so I may do a vertical. And because this is going to be a vertical pocket, so I think I'm going to do... I think I may do a vertical. I don't know. Haven't decided. But anyway, so let's go ahead and do this last pocket. And, all right. And you can see we're going to put our little notebook here. All right, so to make your pocket, did I mark this? I didn't. Okay, cut a piece 7.5 by 3. And again, all of the things in here, except for the waterfall, I cut from scraps that we had used, you know, from pages that we had cut before. This was scored on the short sides, both short sides at a 1/2 inch and one long side at a 1/2 inch. And I'm just trimming these corners. I should have folded them in first. Okay, there we go. My sister tells me that I speak too softly on my videos. I'm sorry. I'll try and speak more loudly, or at least, at the very least, turn up the volume when I'm processing them. Okay. Again, we're going to put the side pieces in first and then fold this over. But before I do that, I'm going to do a test fit to make sure this pocket fits. And it does. And I'm going to put this pocket on down to the inside. I like the look of a pocket on this edge, but everything you put in that kind of a pocket falls out. So it's going down here. Okay. And again, just like the other one that we put towards the inside, you want to make sure you're about a 1/16 of an inch away from the spine. You do not want to interfere with your spine. Make sure everything, your pages all turn smoothly. Okay, let's see where we're at now. Okay. Let's make sure. Okay, that's good. This one's bulky, but it should be fine. Just play with it a little bit. There we go. All right, so we have all of our major elements. We'll be adding some other things, but all the major elements are in, except for that one belly band, but we'll be adding that. And we still have to put our waterfall, which is going here with its flap. And then we have to do the inside front cover, which haven't decided, but I'm pretty sure we're going to put a pocket of some sort here. Normally I like to put a pocket on my back cover, but since we're putting that notepad on the back cover, I think we're going to go with some sort of pocket on this this side. So, all right. Well, I'm sorry I made such a hash of that accordion pocket. Hopefully I didn't confuse you so badly you couldn't figure it out, but if I did, just go ahead and let me know in the comments down below, and I can always go ahead and shoot another little video showing you how to do it, and do it right this time. All right, yes, let me flip that over. So right here. So thank you again so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel with the button down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you're notified when the next video in the series goes up and you don't miss anything. I appreciate y'all watching and subscribing so much. And if you have any comments, please leave them down below, and I'll do my best to help you out or answer them, or whatever you need. Thanks. I'm sorry, I'm umming all over the place. But bottom line, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.